Imagine pulling up to your family's century-old ranch after months away, only to find cop cars blocking your gate and a smug neighbor bouncing like she'd just busted a drug lord. Turns out, this HOA tyrant thought she could get you arrested for trespassing on land your ancestors homesteaded before her subdivision was even a blueprint. Garrett Hawthorne had always known the air in Millfield County carried more than just the scent of mesquite and fresh hay. It hummed with the quiet tension of old Texas meeting new money. He'd grown up on White Oak Ranch, 2,000 acres of rolling pastures where cattle grazed under skies that stretched forever. But lately, those skies felt a little lower, pressed down by the invisible weight of neighborhood covenants and compliance notices. Garrett wasn't the type to stir the pot. He fixed fences, ran the operation his late father left him, and kept his head down. But inside, he watched everything like a hawk spotting a snake in the grass. 4 months in D.C. for a federal promotion had changed that view. He now oversaw HOA regulations for the FHA across the Southwest. A job that taught him how power-hungry boards could twist rules into nooses. Little did he know, his new neighbor, Karen Whitaker, was about to turn his homecoming into a masterclass in absurdity. It started innocently enough. Or so it seemed. Karen had rolled into Sage Creek Estates 3 months prior. Her SUV packed with designer boxes and a clipboard that might as well have been a scepter. At 52, she exuded that polished HOA vibe, pearl earrings, a bob haircut sharper than barbed wire, and a smile that said bless your heart while plotting your downfall. She'd fled some coastal condo drama, or so the rumors went, and appointed herself the unofficial enforcer of community standards. Garrett's foreman, old Buck Ramirez, called him one evening as thunder rumbled in the distance. "Boss, this lady's been driving by twice a day, snapping pics of the cows like they're criminals. Says the mooing disrupts her yoga sessions." Garrett chuckled at first, sipping coffee on his DC balcony. But the letters started piling up, certified mail from the county, citing agricultural nuisances like dust from the access road and unsightly tractors parked in plain view. Karen's notes were masterpieces of passive aggression. "Dear Mr. Hawthorne, while we appreciate your quaint farming traditions, modern living requires harmony. Perhaps relocate your equipment to preserve our aesthetic?" Buck forwarded a photo of her measuring fence heights with a survey rod. Her face pinched like she'd smelled something foul, which, ironically, was her main complaint about the manure. Garrett returned to Texas under a blazing sunset, his truck kicking up gravel on the road his great-grandpa had carved out in 1892. That's when the lights hit, 3 squad cars at the gate. Sirens silent but authority screaming. Karen stood there, arms folded, that triumphant smirk lighting up her face brighter than the flashing reds and blues. She was practically vibrating with glee, whispering to the deputies like a kid tattling on the playground. The lead officer, Deputy Harlan, approached with a sheepish tip of his hat. "Evening, sir. Got a trespassing call. This lady says you're not authorized here." Garrett glanced at the wrought iron sign, White Oak Ranch, Est. 1892. Then at Karen, who waved a manicured hand as if dismissing a servant. "Officer, that's Garrett Hawthorne," she cooed, her voice dripping honeyed venom. "He's been absent for months, probably squatting or something shady. We can't have vagrants threatening property values." Garrett stayed calm, his voice low and steady like wind through the oaks. "Ma'am, this is my family land. And you? You're the one who just called the law on the guy who regulates every HOA from here to Arizona." Her smirk froze, then cracked, eyes widening as the deputies exchanged glances. One murmured into his radio, and the air thickened with the awkward hum of realization. Word spread like wildfire through Sage Creek. Karen's little stun had backfired. But she didn't back down. Instead, she rallied her committee, a trio of retirees with too much time and not enough sense. Bryce Keller, a former accountant who tallied grievances like debits, and Donna Hutchins, ex-city planner who'd built bureaucracies she now hid from. They met at Karen's McMansion kitchen, complete with granite counters and a projector screen for her PowerPoint, Ranch Relics versus Residential Rights. Buck's trail cam caught it all, Bryce fumbling a laser pointer while Karen preached about evolving standards. "Friends," she intoned, voice quivering with faux righteousness. "That eyesore next door is devaluing our investments. Cows at dawn? Unacceptable." Meanwhile, Garrett dug quietly. His attorney, Sarah Levine, pulled titles revealing ironclad agricultural easements, shields against exactly this nonsense. "You can't buy next to a ranch and whine about ranching," Sarah said over coffee at the local diner. Where the waitress, Rita Gomez, rolled her eyes. "That Whitaker woman's been in here complaining my chili's too aromatic for her book club." Garrett nodded. Filing away Karen's online trail, a string of disputes from California to Colorado, where she'd tried banning a neighbor's mariachi parties as cultural disturbances. He sipped his black coffee, the steam rising like his slow-building plan. The complaints escalated into a farce. Karen hired a nuisance specialist from Austin, whose report demanded Garrett move his cattle road, a path older than the Constitution in Texas terms, because it infringed on serene vistas. She set up a decibel meter at 5 a.m., beeping obnoxiously as the herd stirred. She'd email the county, attaching graphs, excessive bovine vocalizations. One morning, Buck found her on a stepladder, drone in hand, filming the equipment yard. "Ma'am, that's private property," he drawled. Karen spun, face flushing crimson. "I'm documenting violations for the greater good. Your tractors are an assault on our senses." But then Bessie the heifer ambled over, curious as a cat, and Karen yelped, toppling her gear in a cloud of dust. Buck's video captured her scrambling to her Lexus, muttering about aggressive livestock. Garrett watched the clip later, chuckling darkly. "She's building our case for us," he told Sarah. The town buzzed. Rita banned Karen from the diner after she demanded odor-neutral menus. And Marty at the feed store hung a sign, "No clipboard inspections allowed." Karen's Facebook group, Millfield Modernization, posted edited pics of cow pies labeled biohazards, but comments flooded in, "Lady, you moved to ranch country, what did you expect? Unicorns?" Karen's hubris peaked when she researched Garrett's job, twisting it in her mind. "He's a federal AG inspector, biased toward these outdated farms," she boasted at a neighborhood barbecue, where half the guests eyed her like a skunk at a picnic. "I'll go over his head to D.C." Unbeknownst to her, Garrett's role was HOA oversight, and Sage Creek had skimped on federal-funded permits, drainage shortcuts, unbuilt buffers. He made a quiet call to his office, triggering a review. Meanwhile, her harassment amped up, tailing his truck to town, snapping pics at stoplights. Intimidation, she cried to the sheriff. But Deputy Harlan sighed. "Ma'am, grazing cows ain't a threat." Garrett endured the whispers, neighbors calling him a squatter based on her lies, but he documented every email, every drive-by. Sarah uncovered Karen's pattern, suing a San Diego neighbor over excessive gardening that attracted bees. "She's a serial bully," Sarah said. The county hearing loomed, Karen prepping charts like a general, while Garrett sat on evidence that her own HOA violated codes worth thousands in fines. The hearing exploded like a summer storm. In the stuffy county hall, fluorescent lights buzzing. Karen unveiled her opus, slides of dust clouds. Mooing timestamps. Demanding $250,000 in mitigations. This relic ranch is a blight on progress, she declared. Voice echoing off wood-paneled walls. Residents murmured, a few nodded. Swayed by her property values mantra. Then Garrett stood. Calm as ever. Mrs. Whitaker. You signed disclosures acknowledging this blight, AG easements and all. He slid documents across the table, her signature. Bold as brass. Gasps rippled. Furthermore, he added. Voice dropping like thunder. Your subdivision's in violation of federal permits. No buffers. Illegal drainage, fines could top $400,000. Assessed per household. Karen's face drained white. Then red. This is a conspiracy. You're abusing power. But the commissioner leaned in. Ma'am. These easements predate your cul-de-sac by a century. Case dismissed. Outside. As rain pelted the parking lot. Karen cornered him. You'll regret this. You entitled cowboy. Garrett just tipped his hat. Ma'am. Entitlement's calling the cops on a man's own dirt. The fallout was poetic. Channel 8 picked up the story, HOA enforcers' war on ranch backfires. Reporters dug into Karen's past, frivolous suits. Alienated communities. Her committee dissolved, Bryce muttered about bad optics, Donna fled to Arizona. The FHA audit hit Sage Creek like a twister, $350,000 in fixes. Special assessments bankrupting families. Homes hit the market. Values tanking. Karen's desperation turned stalkerish, binoculars from her porch. Fake accounts spreading federal corruption rumors. Garrett got a restraining order. Her violations caught on cam. She showed it as DC. Testimony on HOA reform. Shouting from the gallery until security hauled her out. Live on C-SPAN. You destroyed my life, she wailed in court. But the judge slammed the gavel, probation. Counseling. And a move out of state. White Oak thrived, heritage tours. Scholarships. Federal grants preserving it forever. Karen? Divorced. Disgraced. A meme in HOA circles. But here's the twist that lingers, in a world where rules protect the powerful. Was Karen the villain for fighting what she saw as chaos? Or was Garrett the hero for wielding quiet power against overreach? Who's really entitled when the law's on your side but empathy's optional?